Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I think I am between you and your lunch, so I have a difficult job, but I'll stand up to the challenge. Before actually I start, I would like to tell you a quick story. It was about 10 years ago. I had Europe, Middle East, and Africa responsibility. And I was just given additional responsibility for India. So India got added to my region. This was 10 years ago. And it was my first business trip to Bombay. And I called our general manager at that time and I said, look, I want to visit consumer homes. And I would like to go to the retail stores. And I think he was surprised a bit. So he was like, you are the digital and technology leader. Why do you want to go to consumer homes? Why do you want to go to retail stores? Most people just visit our factories and offices. Anyway, we ended up actually going to like multiple different consumer homes from different segments, from different neighborhoods and lifestyles, as well as multiple different retailers. And I think that just one trip and all the consumer insights and all the retail insights really seeded a lot of different digital transformation projects on how we can use technology and data to change the way we improve consumers' lives or change the way we go to the retail stores. And I got like more insights from just that one trip than I can probably get from 1,000 presentations. Sometimes we talk about digital and technology. I wanted to start with that consumer side. Digital and technology, it's actually supposed to improve consumers' lives. And that's exactly what we do in Whirlpool. We have more than a century of history improving people's lives at home. Our products, our brands, they use deep consumer insights on how to serve and how to create value. And digital transformation really just accelerates how we create that value. Digital transformation just helps us do it in a better way. But that doesn't replace the consumer insight, because that's really the end goal, to create value. And we have brands like Whirlpool, KitchenAid, Maytag, many others you see here. They take those deep consumer insights and they turn it into great products so that we actually increase the value, we solve problems in consumers' lives. And obviously, when you think about the digital transformation, when you think about digital strategy, I've been in digital and tech like for more than 20 years now. I've started as an entrepreneur and then went on to my corporate career. When I think about digital strategy, I really think about 5 building blocks. The first one is about using digital to create superior consumer experiences. And this is all about serving consumers in an omni-channel way, making their lives better. The second pillar, the second building block I think about is how do you use digital embedded in your products so that you go beyond the physical product? You create more value, solve additional problems. And I'll give examples to these. And the third one is all about how do you digitize your entire business? How do you transform the way the business is done? And this could be all the way from your marketing to retail execution to supply chain and manufacturing. Again, I'll give examples to these, but I really want to press on that real time, which I'll talk about in a moment, because I think many digital transformations miss that real-time opportunity. And the fourth component is the underlying data and AI and the technology foundation. And this really enables to accelerate as well as to do digital transformation in a scaled way, in a sustainable way. And then finally, the most important component, which is the people, the culture, as well as people capabilities and skills. So these are the 5 building blocks about digital transformation, customer experience, I think about. Like if you start with the first one, in real life, how do you create a great experience? How do you make friends? How do you build great relationships? It actually typically starts with listening to the people, not talking to them first. You listen to people. And obviously, if you have a small appliance store in a small neighborhood, and let's say you have 100, 150 customers, you actually know many of the people in the neighborhood by name. You know their families, you know their preferences. But if you are a big company like Whirlpool, when you have hundreds of millions of consumers, how do you listen to them? That's exactly where digital and data comes in. So actually, every interaction you have with the consumer, every click, every content they open or they don't open, every path to purchase they abandon, every call center discussion they make, every time they go to the store, those are all actually data points. And if you connect them, then you are really going to be able to do that listening. And that's why in Whirlpool we created Consumer 360. It's all about connecting consumer insights and data across touch points so that we are listening to our consumers and our customers. And then when you listen to them, they're typically telling you what they want. If they are looking for a new appliance, then they expect you to send them or show them content which is going to help them in that journey. Or if they have a connected appliance, a laundry machine, and they would like to subscribe for some detergent refills, then if that's what they are looking for, you need to help them do it easily. Or if they have a service call and they are expecting a delivery of a new appliance, and you are sending them marketing communication about some other products that you want them to buy, then obviously it's not helping them. It's just wasting their time. So it's really all about the same, listen and respond. You just do it with data and technology and digital by connecting all the consumer touch points. And actually, if you create superior experiences, and this is something I always have a challenge, because I worked a lot with business leaders, presidents who have really grown in the store, in the manufacturing plants, in supply chain. They don't always relate to what an experience is. Do you mean like more brand marketing? Do you mean more products in the store? Do you mean content? And it's really not that. You need to really relate superior experiences with the business. And the way I do that is I tell them the more consumers we have in our database and the higher engagement we drive with our consumers and the more relevant offers we have for our consumers, that's directly going to correlate to creating more sales for the company through consumer lifetime value. So that's kind of how I think about consumer experiences as the first building block of digital transformation. The second building block is about how do you use digital to actually create more value with your products. In our case, this is connected products. In our case, this is about the digital twins of our products. For example, we have an app called Yumly. So we don't only sell people an oven, a connected oven, but actually we also provide them content to plan their meals. Or we also guide them if there is a recipe they want to cook. We also guide them step by step through the process, through Yumly app. Or they can actually send instructions directly to their smart oven so that they have the perfect temperature to cook their dish. So this is a way where you use digital to enhance that product experience. And at the same time, you use digital twins of your products to get insights about your products or to do simulation, and you can actually accelerate your product innovation so that you stay ahead of the competition. The third component is really about digital transformation for the enterprise, for the business. And I call this real-time digital enterprise. And the reason I call this digital and real-time enterprise is this is my second 100-plus-year-old company. And typically 100-plus-year-old companies are what I call, as a tech person, I call it batch companies. A batch company means your consumer insights sits in a presentation for 3 months, 6 months. Your certain supply chain signal sits in a dashboard for months until it gets acted upon. So over time, I added this real time. And the real time aspect is really important so that you are connecting consumer signals, retail signals, manufacturing signals, supply chain signals, all together so that you can act fast and you can respond fast to changing market conditions. And I think many of us have seen, especially over the last 2-3 years, the world has become a lot more volatile. I think real time becomes even more important in digital transformation. One of the examples is, like over the last 2-3 years, as we have seen supply chain disruptions, we actually created a real-time transportation and ocean visibility platform. So this way our planners, our transportation planners, can make real-time cost versus time decisions between different logistic providers and between different routes we run our global supply chain. And it actually saved the company hundreds of millions of dollars just by making those cost versus time decisions real time. So that's just an example on the importance of real time. The fourth component is really the underlying data, AI, and technology foundation. And I started with data because we talk a lot about AI. We talk a lot about generative AI. And I'm a huge passion, I have a huge passion about AI. I actually, before my corporate career, I have a failed AI company. It was too early. This was like 1999, 2000. And the number one reason my startup at that time wasn't successful was data. We didn't have enough data. We were working with megabytes of data versus today, our modern AI, Gen AI systems are working with petabytes and zettabytes of data. And it really makes a huge difference because I think all the large language models, all the AI algorithms, they are going to be over time becoming more and more commodity driven by cloud platforms. But what's really going to stay as a competitive advantage is the data. So the more consumer data we have, the more service call transcripts we have, we can use it to train our Gen AI models or AI ML models, the better we are going to perform. And hence, I really start the foundation from data, and we've created this FAIR framework so that every data around Whirlpool gets digitized and gets reused, and it's actually democratized. And it's also, you need to drive that transformation in a bottom-up and top-down way. On the bottom-up side, you have people in business operations. They actually are the ones, they see problems, they see opportunities. You need to democratize data so that they can apply it in their real business problems, in their real life. But then you need the top-down executive sponsorship because whenever you see value with one brand, one country, when you want to change the entire company to move to that new model, you definitely need that top-down executive sponsorship. And what we have done is about 9 months ago, we have actually created a new data and AI strategy with our board of directors, and we actually established a 2 to 3 year roadmap on how are we going to make sure every single employee in Whirlpool have an AI assistant. Every single process has AI embedded in it to deliver significant value and productivity. The other component is really the technology. So, and we created what we call Atlas Data and AI Platform. It's our data and AI foundation in Whirlpool that we are building all of our Gen AI models or AI ML algorithms upon so that we can scale it fast. One of the biggest problems with technology or AI is I've never seen any company have a lack of great ideas they can implement with AI or Gen AI. But the problem is typically the scale. And when I ask people, like, how many data science algorithms you have that creates $100 million value or so in your company, the answer typically is there is none. And that immediately tells me we are not benefiting from AI at scale. So we are looking at how many algorithms we are going to have that are $100 million algorithms. That means it's creating $100 million or more value for the company. And I think it's always really a good test when you meet people, they talk about AI. Ask them, how many $100 million algorithms do you have in your company? How many billion-dollar algorithms do you have in the company? And you immediately know where they are in the AI journey. The last people, I believe, is really the most important piece, which is the culture, the people, the skills of your organization. And what we have done is, as we established that new data and AI strategy with our board of directors, we actually started our first AI and digital conference internally. We brought together multiple people, thousands of people from multiple different functions, and we just accelerated their journey with like tens of thousands of hours of learning. And also by giving them the learning opportunities, the upskilling opportunities in a concentrated way, they can also see in different tech booths, in different demonstrations, what their peers are doing, and they can learn from their peers. And we also brought our CEO and our executive team so that they can also listen and hear from them on their support. So this way you bring the bottom up and the top down to drive that really transformation. And then also our global technology and engineering hubs. And I've spent 2 days, the earlier part of the week in Pune. Pune is one of our biggest engineering hubs. It's our global technology and engineering center. We have more than 1,000 people, and we have actually Radhakrishnan Ashwini Summit sitting in the front. And I was really impressed, just like I was impressed with what I've seen during my first consumer visit with Indian moms taking care of their families, their passion. And I was humbled by that. I was really inspired by what I've seen in our tech hub and the passion of our engineers, passion of our data scientists, passion of our software test automation leaders, and passion of our innovation product leaders. And this is really empowering Whirlpool's global digital transformation. And I think for any company, you need that concentration of people in one place that they can learn from. And certainly, I can think about no better place than India, exactly where we are right now, to actually build and grow your digital tech hubs and AI centers. With that, I think we have about 2-3 minutes. That's the presentation part. I think if you have any questions, we have about 3 minutes for any questions. Okay, can you put it on my head?
Me? Check. Yeah. Thank you. Very insightful session. You mentioned the $100 million algorithms. Hard question. I'm sure you have an answer for that. Can you share any $100 million algorithms that you have that are running?
So actually, the only $100 million algorithm we have right now is really on the consumer and direct-to-consumer side. So we have algorithms to actually personalize the offers to our consumers. And we have a direct-to-consumer platform all around the world in actually more than 50 countries. It's a scaled platform. And our personalization engine for our D2C business, I can say, is a $100 million algorithm. And that's the only one we have right now. And I'm hoping we are going to have a lot more. We have huge use cases ahead of us. I think our supply chain optimization algorithms that we are working on, our pricing optimization algorithms for retail execution, our customer service algorithms that we are working on, I think they all have the potential to become $100 million algorithms. But right now, many of them are running in a couple of countries. They are not scaled at the total enterprise yet.
Thank you.
Hi.
My good friend Harsh.
Can you hear me?
I think he needs the mic.
Okay, so one question from my side.
Okay.
A lot of times what happens is, great insights, great initiatives, but one of the critical things is to be able to make those investments, to be able to deliver those $100 million use cases. If you could share certain tips around how you kind of create those business cases and how do you sell it to the sponsors and the board, I think that's going to be really insightful. Thanks a lot.
Exactly. I think you are hitting the nail at the head. So a lot of the time, we are the technology leaders, we are the digital leaders, and we have no lack of ideas. And we know in our veins, this is going to create value. And there is always a bit of that chasm between us knowing this is going to create significant value to actually senior executives putting, $100,000, $1 million, $10 million, $100 million investment into it. And I think it's really a bit like the startup world, where if you start with the resources you have, and if you can create an MVP for $100,000 or, $50,000, and we are in India, this is the home of frugal innovation, right? Jugaad. This is the home of Jugaad. I'm sure you all know what Jugaad is. If you start with that, I think that's frankly the easiest path. Like if you do it small, build the MVP, do it cheap in a frugal way and show the value, that's really the easiest path. Sometimes you go pitch for like hundreds of millions of dollars without proving, showing that reason to believe. And I think that's needed. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear my question now?
Yes,
okay.
yes, Arsh.
Murat, you talked about 100 million algorithm. In your life, have you created $1 billion algorithm?
I think Harsh knows the answer. Maybe that's why he's asking. But I have actually created, and together with Harsh, actually, we have created $1 billion algorithm. And the $1 billion algorithm was in my previous company, and the company had. I was with Procter & Gamble, and it's a huge company from an advertising perspective. Lots of advertising investments. And we actually created $1 billion algorithm to guide all the advertising spend in such an effective and efficient way. And that was the only $1 billion algorithm in my life. I was happy to kind of be part of, and Harsh, you were part of that journey as well. So I'm sure you're asking because you know. So any other questions? I think one last question in the front.
I think building data set is very critical in terms of building.
Can you speak closer to the mic, please? Thank you.
Hello? Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think building data set is critical for coming up with any model, right, of the scale that we are talking about, especially in the kind of consumer appliances. Without data, we cannot start, and at the same time, without product, we cannot build data. So how do we approach this chicken and egg problem?
You mean, how do you create the scale which relies on the data and technology?
Yeah, initially to start with a model, right? I mean, consumer experience is one piece of it, and again, coming up with a better product wherein we need to generate data in terms of actually percolating, addressing the consumer experience piece.
Yeah.
Right? So how do we build that?
Exactly. That's actually a great question. It's exactly the question when I lived in China between 2015 to 2018, our president asked me when I was in China, he said, like, Murat, how do we become a data company? How do we become a data company? I think it's a great question. And I think how you become a data company is through digitizing your products, your operations, your go-to-market, every part of your business so that it generates data every time there is a transaction, every time there is an action, every time there is movement, every time there is a product put on shelf, every time there is something consumed from the shelf. So unless you really digitize your consumer touch points, your business operations, and at the same time invest in data that creates commercial value or business models that creates data, then you're not going to become a data company. Like the Yumli example. Now we can say, you know what, we are only going to collect data from our appliance. You can do it with a connected home appliance with IoT. But unless you create a meal app, a meal planning app, you don't know what the consumers are cooking in that oven. Unless you create a connected laundry machine, you don't know how frequently people are, washing their clothes. That's a great information. If you have that information from hundreds of millions of consumers on how frequently they are washing their clothes, how big are their loads, what kind of detergent they are using, what kind of cycles they are running. Can a company who doesn't have it, can a company who's only talking to a couple of hundred consumers in a consumer study, you know, we do consumer research studies, a company talking to 100 consumers in a research study cannot compete with a company who has hundreds of millions of insights from connected machines every single day. So you need to become a data company, and in order to become a data company, you need to digitize your products and your business models. Thank you very much. I think the next is lunch, so thanks for listening to me.
For more content on tech and leadership, subscribe to NASSCOM YouTube channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.